Hey, what is up out there, YouTube? Ashley here. You got to see my mug again. I'm on camera again. Sorry for you. I want to thank all of you for being getting me 1,000 subscribers. I finally hit 1,000. Not that I ever really intended to do that. I just put out videos that I like to do, and maybe are a little bit entertaining. And certainly in the Rodecaster Pro 2 series, hopefully are helpful in helping you get things done that you're trying to get done. So I appreciate you subscribing, appreciate your confidence in me and being a subscriber, looking for the content I'm putting out. So I'm going to switch here in a second to the original video I recorded for this. I had to redo the intro, but I wanted to do that. So without further ado, here we go. Let's check it out. We're here to talk about the Rodecaster Pro 2, the new virtual devices that we can configure in there. So today we're going to do the dual PC setup, and you're either coming here because you joined the beta, maybe, or maybe you didn't join the beta and you're just waiting for the release to come out and you're looking for maybe some tips and maybe just kind of at least some ideas on how to set this up with the new device drivers and have it work cohesively with your games and with OBS. So you're either here because you have been using the Rodecaster Pro 2 and you want to get this new configuration going, or you're brand new to the Rodecaster Pro 2 and you don't, which is kind of cool. You don't have to deal with the old stuff we had to deal with. We had all these cables and stuff we had to get the fader set up, to get the control to the granular level that we wanted to make it work similar to what everybody was using historically was Go XLR. And so we had to do a lot. We had to get a lot of cables. You can see here all the stuff we had. And if you if you didn't have a Rodecaster, you probably even had like a cloud lifter. And if you were doing any kind of musical instruments, you maybe had you had one of these Scarlett interfaces, right? So there's all this stuff that we had to kind of throw in the mix here. And it's a heck of a lot simpler now. You look at the picture now of my Rodecaster, how it's set up and all the cables. That's it. That's it right there. It's super clean now. And there's a couple of cables in the back. So when I want to plug in my other microphones and my guitar amplifier, I use those cables too, as well as I've got another cable for the second pair of headphones, my IEMs. So, but that's it, man. It's a lot simpler now. And it's going to be really cool. So let's jump in here and get started. All right, let's start with our physical and logical diagram. We'll go over the physical pieces first. And I'm going to approach this as if you don't already own a Rodecaster, or you just got one and you have no experience with this whatsoever, unlike many of you who may be here just to update this based upon the new virtual features. But regardless, make sure we got everything physically connected correctly. So we've got our USB 1 cable going from the Rodecaster to the streaming/recording PC. We've got our microphone plugged into the microphone 1 jack. We have any speakers, if we have speakers, plugged into the speaker outputs. And then we have our headphones plugged into headphone 1. Okay. And then on the gaming PC, we just have our USB 2 cable. That's it. There's no other wires. Okay. I will say that if we do want to separate game chat at some point, you may be one of those people, then when we kind of get to cover that, I'm just going to refer you back to one of the original videos I had that covered how to get game chat separated off the gaming PC instead of redoing it here, okay? But for all intents and purposes here, I'm just going to keep game chat separated with all the other game audio, okay? All right. So those are the physical pieces. That's it. Very easy physical cabling. Let's talk virtually now how this is going to change. So because we have these virtual inputs now, we have our A input, we have our music input. So you've got your USB main stereo channel, and you've got your USB 1, chat channel. Okay. And then on the gaming side, you have, only one connection, which is your secondary. So you've got your Rodecaster Pro 2 secondary devices on there. Okay. So what we're going to do to configure this, just like we had the previous Ultimate PC setup, is we're going to have our system alerts. We're going to assign our system alerts to that virtual device A. Okay. Our music, we're going to assign that. The sound output of music is going to go to the virtual music device. Okay. Okay. Next, our main mix is going to be coming in on Rodecaster Pro 2 main. I think it's actually called multi-track. It's actually called multi-track now. I should update this, but yeah, we'll go over it when we see it. And similarly, our chat to Discord as well as OBS is going to be coming over Rodecaster Pro 2 chat. Okay. And then as far as Discord, our outbound, we want Discord audio to be sent is going to go right back over that chat channel so we can hear that and send that into our Rodecaster. Okay. And then on the gaming PC, pretty straightforward. Game chat goes out. Everything just goes out that Rodecaster Pro 2 secondary interface / device. Okay. Now on the Rodecaster itself, how we're going to assign these faders is our first one's going to be the mic. The second one's going to be our system alerts. Third will be music. Fourth, game audio. Fifth, Discord. And sixth, again, reserved for game chat. But you can, you could put anything in here. You might have a separate, you have options now because you have all these virtual devices, right? We have additional virtual devices we're not using. One's called game. We'll see these when we go in and do the Rodecaster configuration. One is called game and looks like a little controller. And then you have one that is virtual B. So there's two additional ones you can use, and you can assign those to this fader if you want. One of those to here and just put whatever you want. Maybe it's a browser. Maybe you have music, separate audio you might have from a browser that you might want to broadcast or record, okay? So just one example, you may have others. Okay, good. And disregard this arrow. I don't know why this is here, but it's there, so just kind of ignore that. All right. So then before we move into the Rodecaster configuration, let's talk a little bit about how we need to make sure our system is set up. So if we look at our streaming / recording PC, again, we're going to be sending out our default system sound over virtual A. So make sure you go in and configure that, set that up. And then for input, our microphone is going to be the microphone Rodecaster Pro 2 chat. You don't want the microphone to be the main multi-track. And then on the gaming PC, we want our output device to be headphones, Rodecaster Pro 2 secondary, and the input device is going to be desktop microphone Rodecaster Pro 2 secondary. Okay? Okay, so that is our physical and virtual configuration. So let's jump into the Rodecaster and start configuring this bad boy up. And just as in previous videos, I think in all my previous videos, I started from scratch with the configuration. So let's go ahead and we're going to reset this to factory defaults. So I don't have any training wheels. Oh, I don't want factory reset. I just want to erase the config, which should be here. Okay, now we have a fresh new Rodecaster Pro 2. Now I did take the time off camera to put in the date and language and that kind of stuff and give it a name, 2PC Virtual. Okay, but that's all I did. And then I also, the first thing we needed to do was go into device configuration and set this up so we can talk to the virtual devices. So we had to go to multi-track. Okay. And recording is off. USB 1 output is off. So there's just going to be standard type outputs, but USB 1 input, we needed to change from standard to expanded. Okay. And expanded gives you those 4 additional channels alongside main and chat. Okay. When you use the virtual device driver. Okay. So we did that. All right. So now we're good to go. And the next thing we're going to do is set up our faders. If we look at our diagram, and I'm going to make this, bigger here. So if you remember, our system alerts are going into device A, music out is going into the music device, Discord out, going to Rodecaster Pro 2 chat, and then what's coming into our PC from the Rodecaster is the main stereo, the main mix, as well as the microphone that gets fed into OBS and Discord, okay? And those faders are going to be assigned accordingly. Microphone on 1, system alerts on 2, music, game, Discord, game chat. Okay, so let's get those faders set up. So the way we do that, we go into audio setup. We have our microphone on 1. That's already good to go. We want to have our system alerts on 2. So system alerts are coming into device A. So we're just going to drag and drop that up there. Next is going to be our music on our next fader. We're going to drag and drop music there. Then next is going to be our game audio. Game audio is coming in from USB 2. We're going to slide that up there. Next is going to be our Discord, our chat basically for everything is going to be our next fader. And then we said that we would reserve the last fader for if we wanted to separate our game chat from everything else. We'll put that there, but if you're not going to, that's already there. If you're not going to use that, then you can put anything you want there. And then for these virtual faders, you can put whatever you want. The smart pads are there, Bluetooth, or I have another wireless mic. So maybe I want to put that there and have my wireless mic here on a virtual fader. Okay, so the faders are done. So now what we do is we get into the heavy lifting of routing. And that's where all the work is. But before we do that, when we go into device configuration, so the first thing we're going to do on output, we're going to set our headphone levels. If you have low sensitivity versus high sensitivity, I have both. So my headphone 1, is a big headset, over-the-ear headset with low sensitivity. So we'll check that box there. And then my other headphones are IEMs. So we'll click that for high sensitivity. All right, so that's done. I'm not going to get into these other options. Well, I will a little bit for monitoring out of the speakers. I just typically keep all these off, and I control the output level and when I want to mute the speakers. Okay, so monitor I keep off, and the other stuff I don't really touch any of this other stuff really ever. Okay, let's talk about routing. This is it. This is the big heavy lifting stuff. So in routing, we have all of our outputs here listed on the top. We have 4 sets of headphones. We have some output monitors if we have them. We have a record. So if we have a memory card in the machine, we can record directly to a memory card. We can output to Bluetooth. And of course, we're outputting our main mix always to USB 1. We're outputting our microphone to the chat channel, and we're outputting to our second USB, which is going to our game PC, okay? Those are our outputs, all right? And when we look at what's being sent to these outputs, the most simple option to output something is to just send the whole main mix. So everything that's coming into the Rodecaster will go out to the main mix. Right? And the main mix consists of all of these inputs that we assign to the faders. That's what's happening here. So when we assign something to a fader, we're allowing us to assign it to whatever outputs we want to send it to. By default, to our headphones and the speaker, it's getting everything. And that's true for pretty much everything here except for chat and USB 2, which gives you mix minus, which I'll explain mix minus in a second, okay? But going out to our headphones and to our speaker is everything. The question you have to ask yourself, is that what we want to do? Do we want everything going everywhere? In most cases, you probably don't. In our headphones, we probably want to hear everything in our headphones. We probably don't want to hear ourselves talk. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and uncheck that one. We'll click it twice, and we don't hear ourselves talking into our own ears. Probably a good idea. Now, you may have a set of headphones where you want to hear that, or an occasion where you want to hear that, in which case you can enable it so you can hear, how your voice sounds or the volume level, things like that. But in most cases, out to your main headphones, you don't want to hear yourself talk. Okay, so that's the headphone setup. We'll just do all those right now, knock out all the headphones out. And then similarly with the monitor speakers, I promise you, if you have your microphone on and your speakers up loud, you're not going to be very happy because you're going to get a whole bunch of feedback and it's going to get really loud and ugly real quick. So we're going to uncheck that one. But other than that, everything else going out to your monitor, again, probably a good idea. Not fine, just fine. Record will get everything, including your mic. All right, so when we get to Bluetooth, now we start to get into this concept of mix minus. And mix minus, it's not really that hard to understand, but it sounds kind of funky. Mix minus what? And basically what mix minus says is if it comes in on Bluetooth, I don't want to send it right back out Bluetooth because then it'll come right back in on Bluetooth and then you get into a feedback loop. And that's basically what mix minus does. What mix minus, it just prevents you from getting feedback and echo in the cases where you most likely will get it. If we look at what mix minus actually looks like in the custom tab, again, what mix minus does, it says Bluetooth input will not be included in the Bluetooth output. So in the custom tab, what that looks like is that. We're not going to include the Bluetooth input to go into the output. Same thing for USB 1. Now, USB 1 is probably safe to not do mix minus on. I always turn it off just to be safe. But, we didn't even assign USB 1 to a fader. So actually, and what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the faders real quick. And I just want to make sure that we're capturing USB 1 at least on some kind of fader. So let's just do this here, and we're going to put this right there. Okay? All right. Let's go back to our routing again. Okay, and now we can see we have USB 1 here as an input that could go into USB 1. And in many cases, this probably will be okay, but just to be safe, I disable it, making it a mix minus. Okay, and then we're good to go. Now, the other thing we need to think about is what don't we want going out to USB 1? But before we look at USB 1, because that is our most complex scenario for routing, let's look at chat. So what do we want to go out our chat channel? What don't we want to go out our chat channel, right? But typically we just want our voice, right? So we got our microphone going out. Here is our A input, which is our system alerts. We don't want our system alerts going out, so we'll disconnect that. We don't want our music to go out our microphone, right? We're going to capture that separately, either via the main mix or how I'm going to configure it in OBS so that we have that Twitch VOD track. We're just going to capture that separately within OBS. We don't want what's coming in from the gaming PC, which is coming in on USB 2. We don't want that going out our chat channel. That's going to go out the main mix. Do we want what's coming in on chat going out chat? Well, that's our mix minus, so let's not do that. We want to feedback ourselves. This would be, in our alternate use case here, would be potentially game chat audio. In this case, I'm going to just disable it. Do we want anything coming in on USB 1 to be sent back out chat? Probably not. Do we want anything coming in on Bluetooth to come out or to go out to chat? Well, if we have somebody on the phone and we want them to be able to chat with other people back and forth, then we'd say yeah on that one. So we'll leave Bluetooth enabled. And then lastly, do we want anything, all the things we can do with our smart pads, do we want that getting sent out the chat channel? And I always leave this on in case I want to, if I'm talking to somebody and I want to send them a little, chime or something, we'll hit them with the chime. Okay, so we'll leave that enabled. All right, now let's look at USB 2. Again, we're going to get back to USB 1. USB 2, again, we're going to do mix minus just to make sure that what we bring in on it doesn't get sent right back out. Okay, do we want our microphone going out to USB 2? Yes, we do, because we want our chat to get into our game, right? So anything we say on our microphone, we want to get into our game. And I'm just going to go out there and say that's probably all you want to be going out audio-wise to your gaming PC. We don't want system alerts. We don't want music. We don't want chat with our friends to be going out to the gaming PC. In the case where we are separating our game chat onto this channel, we don't want that going right back out to game chat. And we don't want, anything else coming in. Basically, anything else coming in from the PC or Bluetooth, we don't want going out to our gaming PC. And again, I leave the smart pads enabled. Maybe we send some goofy smart pad things out to people in game chat. Who knows? So that's USB 2. Now let's get back to USB 1. So this is our main mix. Main mix is what you're going to configure in OBS that receives all the audio from the mixer. Most of everything that you mix on the console gets sent out this, and that's how people are going to hear your recording, hear your stream, etc. Now we're going to split some things off in there, so we're not sending everything over the main mix, but you can, in a very simple use case, you just send everything over main mix and you only have one audio source in OBS at your main mix. Well, you have two. So you have your microphone and you'll have your main mix. And those are only two audio sources you need to manage in OBS. You can do it that way. You don't have to, but you can. It's very simple. All right. But let's think. Now, what do we need to go out to USB 1? Do we want a microphone going out to USB 1? No, because that's going to go over the main chat channel. We don't want that to go over USB 1. Okay. Do we want what's coming in our system alerts? Do we want those to go back out USB 1 into our main mix? Well, if we want people to hear them in our recordings, sure, we can do that. Do we want music going out to our main mix? Yep, we like that. We like to. Do we want our game audio going out USB 1? Yeah, we do. We want to record that. Do we want what comes in via Discord to go out via USB 1 so it can be heard on stream in the recording? And I would say yes. And then in our alternate use case here where we have game chat separated, do we want that going out to USB 1? Probably yes. And the whole the reason you're kind of separating this out is so you can have better control over it. So you want people to hear it, but you want to be able to maybe mute it on the console versus in the game. That's the use case there. So we'll just leave that enabled. Bluetooth, do we want that sent out over USB 1? I'd say probably not. And do we want smart pads going out over USB 1? No, we have that going out over the chat channel, right? So if we look here, we already had smart pads assigned here. So we don't want to be sending it to both places. Okay? So that pretty much does it. Now, all we need to do is go and configure all the audio sources on our PC and configure OBS. Let's check it out. All right, so I did make one minor change, and I'm going to zoom into the Rode Central app here. I did want to make one minor change to the faders just because I wanted to see what was coming in on all these faders, the virtual channels. So I just moved these up here. So I made sure B and the gaming channel, I made sure that those were on a fader that I could see on the Rodecaster when we're doing our configuration and testing here. Okay, so let's zoom back out. Let's configure our audio sources. So let's start with, and you can see our OBS screen here, and you can see our Rodecaster down in the bottom left, and you can see my microphone levels as I'm talking, right? So you can see all that. So here's our music app. In this case, I'm using Amazon Music, but this could just be a browser window. It could be Spotify, whatever. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign the speaker for that. In our case, we want that to go to music, right? So we're going to assign that to the music virtual device. So if I play, I can see that playing on the Rodecaster. Now you can't hear it on stream because I haven't captured the main mix, which you would probably hear it on. And I haven't captured music as a separate source. So let's fix that. Let me pause this first. So then in OBS, we're going to add a source for music. We're not going to do music in the main mix. You have two choices here again. You can just have your music in the main mix and control the volume with the slider. But if you're doing Twitch and you want to do the Twitch VOD, then you want your music on a separate channel. So that's what we're going to do. Actually, I already have the whole mix right here, but let's do this. So we're going to create a new audio output capture. You have to understand the difference between the outputs and the inputs. So the input, audio input capture. Input is anything coming into the PC. So for example, the USB mix coming into the PC from the Rodecaster is an input. However, the virtual devices are not coming in from the Rodecaster unless they're coming in through the main mix. There's separate devices on your computer. So what you want to do is capture the output of those. So our application, in this case for music, our Amazon Music app is feeding that device, the music device. And so we want to capture the output of that device in OBS. Okay, so we're going to add an audio output capture. We'll just call it virtual just so we know what we're talking about. Okay, it's a virtual music, okay? And for our device then, we're going to select Music Rodecaster. Okay, click OK. Now we have our virtual music device here, and if I press play on the music, we should hear it. You should hear it. Like magic. I love it. Okay, so now we've got our music separate. For a Twitch side, we're very happy, right? Okay. Great. That's our music. What we need to also do is make sure we've got our whole Rodecaster mix. This was an input. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll just delete it and we'll re-add it, okay? Just so you can see the process. So we'll do add. We're going to do an audio input capture. And I'm not going to add any existing. We're going to do create new. We'll call it Rodecaster Pro 2 Mix. Mix. Okay, okay. And again, it's an input. And we're going to grab the main multi-track input. Okay, there we go. So there's our RCP2 mix. Now, so if I were to send something from the gaming PC that is going to be coming in into the Rodecaster and then be sent out the main mix, we'll see that. Just grab a browser here. You can't see this, but I'm going to grab, we'll just go to YouTube and I'll grab something to play so you can hear sound. Oops, wrong keyboard. Go. So you can see on the mixer that it's coming in on USB 2, that it's being received from OBS. A little too loud. But actually I can just change it on the fader. See, that's the nice thing about the faders. I can control the volume right here, and it gets sent out to OBS the way I want it. So again, coming in on USB 2 on the on the mixer, but then being received over USB 1 in OBS. So we've got our RCP2 main mix working. All right, so let's look at chat. Let's look at Discord. So we've got Discord here. Let's configure that, the proper settings. So let's look at our voice and video. I want the input device to be the chat, not multi-track. It's kind of hard to see these. I don't know if I make it bigger, if it makes a difference. It doesn't matter. But you want to make sure you select the microphone, the chat channel, not the multi-track channel as your input. Okay, so we got that. And then output. We want the output to be over that same chat channel. Okay, so we got to find it. Speakers, Pro 2, not main. Okay, not the main multi-track. We want it to be this one. Speakers, Rodecaster Pro 2, chat. Okay, that's the one we want. So again, audio coming in the chat channel, and it's going to be going out to the chat channel. So how do we prove that's working? If I do this, let's check test. What you'll see is when I say something, you'll see it light up on the mic, but then when it comes back over the test, you'll see it come in over this fader here, which is our chat channel. So check 1, 2. There it is. See? Check 1, 2. Okay, so we know Discord works, and it's over the chat channel. Okay, so we've got Modern Warfare 3 configured. as per these screenshots. Okay. And now if we go ahead and test the microphone, we should get our talk back.
Talk back.
Check.
Check.
One.
1,
2,
2,
3.
3.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
So we're talking,
So we're
out,
talking
to
out to
the gaming PC.
the gaming PC.
And the PC is
and the
talking
PC
back
is
to
talking
us.
back to us.
And since it's coming back in over USB 2, it's being sent out over USB 1 to the main mix. That's why you can hear
That's
it.
why you can hear it.
Now, like I said, if you wanted to separate that out from the gaming PC, you would use the line out from the gaming PC and route the game chat audio there. And you could route that into the Rodecaster over one of those unused inputs and assign that to a fader. And then you could control the volume of it or mute it, in case it got toxic or, whatever. So that's how you would do that. And then what I would say is check the description in this video and I'll have the timestamp and a link to the video where you can see how to do that. Okay? So there you go. Now the other thing we need to do, I just thought of this, since we're doing Twitch VOD and we want our music on a separate track within OBS, what we need to do is we need to take the music out of the main mix on USB 1 so that we're not getting it twice. First off, we're not going to hear it twice, once in the mix and then once in here. So we just need to get out of the mix so that we can control it here on this fader here within OBS and not have to worry about it in our mix. So to do that, we'll just go to device configuration, routing, and then go to USB 1 and just make sure that we're not sending our music out USB 1, just like that. Okay? Now, when we play our music, we only get it over this virtual music channel. Now we can still hear it in our headphones. We can still hear it over our output speakers and everything. But here's where we're going to have to control the volume of that for our stream or our recording. So that's how that works. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to put in here when I originally recorded this was how to set up OBS, just the general audio settings. And it's pretty sure you probably already know, but just in case. So we go into settings and then we go into audio and just make sure desktop audio is set to virtual A. And then your microphone is set to Rodecaster Pro 2 chat. Okay, so, and it should pretty much get these by default, but just in case you need to set them or change them, there you go. And then when it comes to output to your stream and for Twitch VOD, everything is going to be on track 1. Twitch VOD track will make track 2. And then when we go to the advanced audio properties, what we're going to do, we'll send everything to track 1, and then all you have to do to keep your music out of your Twitch VOD track is this here. Okay, that's it. Simple. So cool. Hey, that about wraps this one. I think it's pretty good. I'll probably look at it again. If I need to make any changes or updates to it, I'll probably pop them in there or just put out some separate stuff. But coming up next will be a single PC setup, and it's going to be a heck of a lot easier than this. It's going to be one PC. It'll be really easy for me to at least navigate between screens and show you guys what's up. But you might not even need it. Get up and running on single PC. Just watch this one, and you're going to have extra input. Basically, what you're going to have is you're just going to have extra channels instead of having, this gaming PC taking up space on the, using up those 2 USB 2 channels. You're going to have 2 more channels to use and to split off onto your single PC. In fact, you'll be able to separate your game audio chat that way, right? So whereas two PC people have to, use line out potentially to split off game chat, on a single PC, you'll be able to do it real easily, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to that video. All right? Hey, thanks for watching. If it helped, hit that like button. Appreciate it. Enjoy. This is Ashley signing out. I will see you later, or I will see you on another time. Peace.